Hey everybody, I was just looking at my manicured hands. Not if you're going to be an upholsterer, you might as well give that up. Having nice nails. But anyhow, welcome to another question and answer show. And Jimmy is not here; he's on vacation. But we just posted and somebody's already made a comment about Jimmy and I just posted a very interesting project, a chair that I've never seen before. That's what I like about this business. What walks through the door sometimes you just never know, and this chair was one of them. And there's a great story which I can't tell the whole story, but you might as well check that out if you want on YouTube. But I did want to mention today I had a couple of things. I was talking to a fellow business owner in Arlington. I went in for a cup of coffee at the bakery, and we were, I think, the only two businesses in the neighborhood open was the bakery and me. I was during the COVID, during the pandemic. I was open because upholsterers are movers, and movers did have exemptions. I mean, we didn't have any business, but I felt it important to stay open with the lights on at least. Nobody was coming in, but I'm in a mixed use area, and so isn't the bakery. The bakery was, I think, selling out of the front door or something, but people. The reason I did that is because I just wanted to give people, in the neighborhood a glimmer of hope, because there was a time when people were really, wondering what was going to happen, But I guess the reason I bring this up is because if you're going to be starting a business, brick and mortar, a lot of people would tell you working out of your house. If you can afford a little place, even a studio storefront or something to work out of, I would highly recommend it if you can afford it, because I think that small business is really the backbone of small communities, medium communities, and cities. I really do believe that if given a choice, people would want the mom and pop stores. I really do believe that. And today, I was talking to my fellow business owner, baker. We were talking about how important that was for the neighborhood, what we provided, that service. And people won't forget you. They'll come back, and they have. So I just wanted to mention that. So if you're deciding, we had a young man, Blair, down there in Alabama, who started in his front living room doing upholstery, and he's now on his second storefront down there in Alabama. And we're proud that he learned some skills from us, and felt confident enough with my advice to open up these stores. And he's doing really well. He posts on Facebook. You could check him out, Blair Gilly. He's a great kid, and he's successful, and I wish him great luck. He's got a great young family. So this is the type of thing that we can do. We can, as all of us, as upholsterers or any other small business out there, no matter where you are, given the right positive attitude. You really do have to have that positive attitude. You have to have longevity. You have to see it. You're not going to open up a store and be instantly busy. You might as well forget about that. It's going to take. I would advise other things to do too if you're going to do this. No matter where you are, make sure you have a social media presence, no matter what, before you open that door. If you're going to be opening a brick and mortar, or even if you're going to be opening officially out of your garage or something, you would definitely have to have a footprint. I had a 30-year footprint when I pulled into my place in Arlington. What that meant is that people knew me already. Sometimes it takes a long time for them to find you. They don't find you right away, but there was this footprint behind me, and that was really important. And I don't do that. My son and Michaela do that, and they do a great job at the social media. The unsung heroes behind this show and behind the editing, by the way, are Patrick and Michaela. They spent hours. We're a little late, we know, getting this wing chit. We're going to want to announce that he's actually Patrick's. That they're finished editing, but it took a long time. So that only means that you guys are going to get great content if you've been waiting for the wing chit. It's coming out. I don't want to say it's going to be today. It may be, maybe. He's actually working on it during the show now to get it up. It's already, like I said, it's already been edited. So we're excited about that, because I think it's probably the best class, the most intense class, the longest, I think, class A lot of information on there, so it's worth the wait. And thank you guys for being patient. So yeah, if you're going to be opening up a shop, no matter what, I would encourage you. Make sure you might have, as they say, you might keep your day job in the beginning. I mean, it's going to take a while. I mean, I do so many things. So we have the Facebook forum, which I'm going to get to in a little while. We have the YouTube channel, which we're very proud of. We have hundreds of videos on there. We've been going for a long time. Some goofy, some in the beginning, and the camera work isn't as great because we started out as kind of like it's goofy, But we did get serious with that. Once in a while, we throw out a video that's funny, but we know that we need to be a little bit more serious with the YouTube. So we have a great website. We have a store on the website. We don't do. We did in the beginning of this. We did a lot of local news stories were interested in us, especially when we opened the first day. So if you're thinking about opening, make sure you contact your local newspaper. I know that local newspapers have kind of gone by the by, but there's still some local newspapers. They're really important to have a print story if you can do it. Although there's that secondary media source, if you want to call it that, which is online media that they have, news stories, news organizations that you can call. They're always interested in the local businesses opening up for various reasons. So check that out. And I think, the YouTubes, we've got some comments here on the YouTube, so I think I'll just get to it. And then later on, we do have some submissions, right, Michaela? Few submissions. We'll get to that because Janine, I see Janine's made a comment in here. We have a lot of people like that segment. What Janine does, just to let you guys know if you're watching for the first time, I'll hold my camera up to, we have text messages usually that are sent to us with pictures of a piece of furniture. And Michaela and I go over and I show you how much we get here in the Boston area. And we're about medium priced in the Boston area. So you have to adjust the price that I give, and I'll show you a picture, how many yards, but you'll have, the yardage is the same everywhere unless you're in England and it's meters or whatever. But I show the picture. What Janine has done is she snapshots that. I think that's what it's called, Michaela. Snapshot of the picture. What? Screenshot. What is a screenshot? Snapshot. Yeah. Screenshot. And then she's cataloging all these in a book that's going to make her it makes it easier for her to price out where she is, and she's in Australia, so you can apply it anywhere you live. That's a little tricky. I'm not an economist for sure, and I'm not a cat specialist, by the way, either. We did a video about a cat. We were just kind of pretending to be. No, getting into the mind of a cat. Why does a cat go after upholstery, And it was kind of one of those spoof videos, and somebody commented and said, this guy knows nothing about cats. And somebody else said, of course he doesn't. He's an upholsterer. Right, Patrick? I told that joke a few times, I know. But that's fine.
You're telling it here right now in the wing chut class. I'm looking at it right now.
Patrick, are there any comments, questions before we get going? Hey, Malcolm.
Malcolm's here.
Hey, Malcolm, what'd you think?
He missed us for a while because we were on Wednesdays.
Ask him what he thought about the GoPro class that we did. It's up there. He might not have seen it. Did he? Well, I'll tell him to check it out, see what he thinks. So let's get to some of the YouTube comments. This is from Carrie. This is about how to upholster outside back for dining room chairs. She says, please share the tools required. I'm a newbie. The nice thing about upholstery is that it's not a huge, compared to other trades like automobile mechanic or carpenter or plumber, you name it. Upholstery is very low in the tools that you need and the startup cost, very low. You could go on the Upholstery on Broadway. We have upholstery kits, right, Patrick, on there? I think the best thing I could tell you is to go on to our website at Upholstery on Broadway and check out. You don't have to buy anything. Just check out what I recommend. The tools on there I recommend other tools that I use. But for instance, just a starter kit would be a nice magnetic hammer, not the square magnetic hammers. That they're really no good guys for upholstery. It's the round hammers that you want, and the ones that are bent up like this. The hammer and the magnetic end like this. And they're round and they got a really good weight to them. They're wooden handle, of course. And then a mallet, a nice wooden mallet with a nice clean surface area on both sides. A good pair of scissors. I won't recommend the scissors because everybody has their own opinion about scissors. It's fine. I do use whisk though myself. But some people like these store-bought scissors, and they're okay except cutting really tight, I think. So you really want a pair of scissors. Some people use multiple pairs of scissors. Some people have scissors at their sewing table. Some people have scissors for the cutting table, and some people use a bad pair of scissors for things that you shouldn't use scissors for, like cutting the metal, ply grip, or cutting Dacron. We talked about that. Dacron will dull a pair of scissors just like that. It's actually cutting like through sandpaper. So if you're going to be using Dacron, I do have a recommendation. I've been doing it lately because I was very guilty of this for a long time, using the scissors to cut Dacron. But usually I was getting the thick Dacron, so I've switched to the thinner Dacron. And so the thing about that is that you could trim if you're careful. You can trim it with your hands and then leave a feathered edge that makes a nicer seam. So if you really take your time, if you're covering like a cushion, for instance, and you really know how to feather and then to cut your corners, and then glue it, you spray glue it, you almost don't see where it's seamed if you really do a careful job on it. It's really cool. You can't do it on thicker Dacron. On thicker Dacron, sometimes you'll have to hand stitch it. It's impossible to pull it on a thick Dacron. And so the reason I switched to is because I don't want to be cutting Dacron with the scissors. I mean, I paid $9. I had like 7 pairs of scissors. The classes were coming up. This last class, I'm in the 7th class, and I had about 7 or 8 pairs of scissors that I shopped, and I got $9 a piece. And one of the students was complaining, "You don't have a sharp pair of scissors." I said these were $9 a piece, and I sharpened all of them before the class. So I don't know what the people are doing with them, but it doesn't take much to dull a pair of scissors, though. And that's why a lot of upholsterers or seamstresses or tailors, they don't let anybody touch their scissors. They have a favorite pair of scissors, and I do. But sometimes they sneak through and they get into the students' boxes, which is fine. So I just have to call my scissor guy again. So the tools, check out, so scissors, you need ripping tools, I like the orange handle tack removers. I don't like the long tack or staple remover. I feel as though the longer that instrument is, the harder it is to control at the end. So I like to be a little closer with that, the tack hammer. The tack remover I use is only that big. So it gets in, you have more control of it. I think that's about it. A webbing stretcher, maybe, tacks, 6-ounce tacks, 12-ounce tacks. But, very basic, beginning, a little bag, for the tools to stay in. And that's it. Let's see now, Donald. This is about how to tie an 8-way hand tie spring. Now, the interesting thing about this is one of our oldest and most popular one. I haven't seen how many views that has, Patrick. I don't know how many views that has, but it has a lot, doesn't it?
Malcolm says that we used to call that shaky cam. I know that's the one thing I can't really prevent in that.
We like to call it the Blair Witch Project.
My issue with the GoPro was the audio that was rubbing against your shirt, I think, or something like that. Just don't annoy me.
I wonder if Malcolm saw it.
Yeah, he said he was, but I think he mentioned before we're gonna try to get a mic for it.
I think he's trying to be kind. I don't think he wants to criticize, because I know he's a audio video guy, right?
Yeah.
So Donald says, just found this video, great instruction, thank you. So I do have a comment about that video. I'm very proud of this video. It's funny. Sometimes you just never know. We did another one on pop buttons, a couple of those. Those are very popular. People are very grateful for those, because we do one that's like a MacGyver type fix, and then one with a German needle or a professional fix. And both of those have been popular. But the 8-way tie, I had a teacher call me. I don't know, Patrick, if I told you this. This is a few years ago. He was using this to teach or train people in his class. I think he was a woodworker, but he was teaching a little class on upholstery, and he was using this. He was using this class, and I have a feeling, Patrick, that there's a lot of people using our videos out there for instruction, their own instruction for people. I just have a feeling about that. But there's another story with the 8-way tie, and it comes from England, and it was a great story of somebody getting hired, looking for a job, and getting hired based on this video. He became an expert on tying springs, and he works for this upholsterer. So I'm really proud of that. Sometimes, you just need a foot in the door, and that, in the case of this young man, that worked, and for him. I mean, attitude is so important if you're trying to find somebody, a mentor. Blair, as I mentioned before, he has a mentor down in Alabama. I don't know if you know this, Patrick, but a gentleman who took him, and I think still he works with that gentleman, an older man, an upholsterer. But it's because he's got a really positive attitude, that I think that you can find people like this still. It's harder. Admittedly, it's harder today to find somebody that, I mean, look at my own situation. I simply don't have the time. I really don't. I wish I did. I mean, they do that one-on-one apprenticeship, which is a real commitment on both ends. But in the old days, when I say old days, when I first started 40 years ago, and that was about at the time, the tail end of walking down a main street, almost any main street in this country, I can only speak of this country, and finding a guy like me working in his shop, and a young man coming in and said, "Hey, do you need somebody to sweep the floor? Do you need somebody to do this? I'll take the trash out." Entry level, real entry level, literally from the floor up. And not everybody who did that would be interested in advancing. A lot of people did that for a summer, for instance, a kid, and then they moved on. And once in a while, though, you get somebody that really had an interest in any trade. It's any trade. It wasn't just upholstery. You think about it. If you could put your mind in Main Street, any Main Street in this country, 50 to 100 years ago, and even well before that, and you go back to people who were blacksmiths and barrel makers and saddle makers and all kinds of trades, many more trades, hand trades, back then than there are today. Especially, I'm like a dinosaur. I am an upholsterer. People are saying to me, I don't know, Patrick, you did. People who haven't seen me in a few years, like who might not have seen me, and they said, "You're still here? Oh wow, you're still here."
Why are they surprised?
Where am I going? That's all I do. I get a little nervous about that. Am I looking old, Patrick? I'm not walking around.
Why are they saying that?
Well, we got to do something about that, maybe. Oh, I had another woman. This is funny. So my window, I have a nice window that, I've tried to put my finished products in there, but as an active working shop, it's constantly changing, and I'll have a piece up there for maybe 2 hours, and that's got to be delivered. So I think it's great from a standpoint of business flow. If you see a store shop window with the same display in it throughout the seasons, that business is in trouble. And I literally change out my window, Patrick. How many times a week do you think that window is changed out?
Whenever you're done with the job, it gets switched. Yeah.
It's just like, it's bing, 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 bing. And that's something I learned a long time ago, that square footage costs money. If you have something sitting and collecting dust, an Empire sofa, for instance, it comes to mind. Every upholsterer thinks, "Oh, well, we'll upholster a beautiful piece of furniture, put it in the window and sell it." Hardly ever works. Worked for us once, right, Patrick? Remember that one time? Just once. It's very
I
rare.
actually got lucky that time.
We just got lucky. It's a very rare. So all these pieces that I do are for customers. So I had a woman come in I was coming out of the door. You know what she said to me? She said, "Oh, I thought you were closed because the front window looks awfully ratty," she said.
Oh my god.
I know. And I didn't have time to I didn't want to confront her. I said, I just walked away. But it was an odd thing to say. That's somebody that doesn't understand the upholstery business. I mean, I have to say though, Patrick, we've got it carpeted. I clean the windows. We've got some nice lettering, signage on the front window. But a lot of times I can't keep that window pristine with furniture, with finished furniture, right?
Yeah.
Try, but it doesn't always work. But that's not a bad thing. Any comments or questions, Patrick?
And Malcolm was talking about getting a monitor of photos for recent work. We do have a TV in the window. It was playing YouTube videos there for a while.
We should get that going again.
Yeah.
We should, Patrick. Come on. Because we got the TV. It's all set up. All I'm to doing is turning it on, isn't it?
Well, no, I have to hook it up to the computer. And
Oh, okay.
that's the problem. You don't know.
That's IT stuff.
That's the issue with it because it hooks up to the computer.
Oh.
And you don't know how to shut it on and off.
Now, see, in my day, we had 8-track tapes that would just play and play and play. That was easy at Patrick.
Yeah.
8 tracks.
DVD player anymore. It's crazy.
8 tracks. If Jimmy was here, he was saying that in the Flintstones, they used to have this bird that they put down on the phonograph record, his beak, and the record would go around. I'm not going to go back that far. Come on. Any comments, other comments, Patrick?
No.
So Oliver on the Upholstery Show Live, this would be 2 weeks ago because of Memorial Day, right? This is interesting. I got some good advice for Oliver here. Hello from Canada. I'm an upholsterer for over 20 years and I'm currently running my own upholstery partnership business, but I am wanting to start my own sole proprietor upholstery shop business. So I would love to hear your thoughts on what the best, most affordable moving vans are for someone restarting a new business. Also wondering your thoughts on if you feel someone can have a successful upholstery business if one keeps the business small but continues to serve their community. Thanks very much. Well, I just talked a little bit about this. Let me talk about the van. The best van that I had for upholstery was a Chrysler, Town and Country, right, Patrick? Town and Country Chrysler with the stowaway seat. Now, this is when Patrick was younger and all his buddies, so it came in handy as a family van. But any minivan with the hatchback, right, Patrick? Mm-hmm. They call it a hatchback?
No, it's not a hatchback.
What do they call that?
It's a minivan.
The minivan with the back that comes up.
Yeah. Hatchback is like a car that has that.
No, it's just a tunnel that it goes up.
I'm referring to the back, but that Town and Country could put in. I could get in at least an 82-inch sofa, maybe a little bit longer if you knock the seat forward a little bit and then put it up at an angle. You might even be able to get something in longer. And what I did was I had a board, a plywood board, so that when the seats were down, I put that in, and you could slide furniture, and they had the double doors, which were great. You could slide furniture in from the back, the big pieces in from the back, and the smaller pieces in the side. One of my upholsterer friends has one, and he says the best thing he ever did. I mean, he had this big van, this big double, what do they call those double vans, Patrick? The extended back vans.
And the one that Dom had?
Yeah, he could
get
like
an F-350 or something.
An F-350. He says he says he gets almost as much stuff in the minivan for some reason, or I think it's more the average job.
For a van, it would be E-350.
If he had
lines, one of those.
Oh yeah. And then I used to have vans. I had a Chevy van. I had a Ford Econoline, right, Patrick?
Yeah.
That Ford was a big. It was more van than I needed. When you think about it. So 40 years ago, we used to get living room sets. We used to get sofa, 2 chairs, an ottoman, maybe another side chair. And people did do work all at once like that. And then a van was necessary. A cargo van was necessary for that. But today, the business has changed. So the answer that I'm giving is today's answer, whereas 40 years ago, 30 years ago, I would say you need a van. You need something to walk in. But not today. Today, you're doing small. Unfortunately, you're not doing the living room sets anymore. You're doing a lot of love seats and chairs, and the reason for that, guys, first of all, there's a few reasons for that. The main reason is this incredible advertising marketing barrage that these new furniture stores have done a number on the upholstery business, really has. And it's done a number on the multiple pieces that we used to do. That's been really affected because the cheap labor that they're using overseas, even with the shipping costs, they could get things done for a fraction of the cost, and then they get them here, and then they have such clever ways of marketing the furniture. I've talked about this before. Maybe upholsterers should start doing it, Patrick. Maybe we should start offering interest rates, extended interest rates, and gimmicks and everything. But I'm not. I think I don't do that. I don't even know how to do that. How do you do a gimmick? I visualize Mr. Han. You know who Mr. Haney is on Green Acres? Look it up. Mr. Haney.
Oh.
Mr. Haney was the kind of a con man that would go around. There used to be these guys that would.
Oil salesman.
Yeah, to me that's what it's like. I mean, but the thing is, what they're doing is they're capturing a whole group marketing to a whole group of people who wouldn't have been able to afford upfront a sofa. So they are, maybe they're thinking they could provide this service, but by the time these poor people end up paying for their sofa, they've spent 3 times the amount of money. I think there's a little, I don't know. I'm very opinionated with this. I think there's a little bit of creepiness about it, to be honest with you. So Oliver also asked another question about any thoughts on someone running a successful upholstery business. I'll be completely honest with you. You just don't look at yourself just as an upholstery business. I really think if you're 20 years into your career, you can teach. My advice to you is you have to put in a little time at your local schools and teach. Get to know people, get to know the community that you're in. And he mentions community here. What better way to serve your community than through an adult education program? You would be shocked at the amount of people you would get, the quality. It might take a little while to get it going. Be patient with it. But I'll tell you, I have such an interesting group of people. I have a doctor who comes in her scrubs to class, and she's a wonderful person. I really like her. I'll tell you why I like her. She's got a great personality and everything, and she's a nice person. But she was working at a very famous hospital in Boston. I maybe shouldn't say which hospital. And then she switched to the VA hospital, and she actually won my heart when she said that, because she said she fell in love with the guys and the girls at the hospital, the soldiers, and that just appealed to me. That really appealed to me. It just showed me the type of character she is, but has also the pay cut that she did. Now, the reason she did it, one of the main reasons she did it, was because she wanted to have more time, and I guess that they're very flexible hours there. And then what does she do? She takes an upholstery class. I mean, I've had 2 doctors this last class. You had engineers. I have a veterinarian. I mean, and regular guys like Jimmy from the T will take a class, and Jimmy will take a class with most of the people I notice are professionals in my area. But then in walks Jimmy with his MBTA uniform, and all the ladies wouldn't really rub elbows with Jimmy, except down at the T, but the dynamics are really interesting and nice, and they become customers. Or they tell people about you, and they become customers. So you really can't sit back and rest on your 20 year. Don't rest on your laurels. Your 20 years. I mean, don't expect go into a store and make sure that you're not paying a lot of money if you're going to open up a store. Make sure you start small, like Blair did. Blair started with first he had 40 square feet. I know 40 square feet is, you guys. It's like the size. This looks like a palace compared to that. In his front living room is where he started, and then he went to a 500 square foot, and then I think he went up to 4,000, and now I think he's up to another 4,000. So start small, pace yourself, make sure you hit the social media. Really take advantage of the free social media, right, Patrick? There's a lot of free stuff out there, right? I mean, your website. You make sure you get. I mean, honestly, my success is tied into my son and his and Michaela. Definitely, what they're doing. Like I said before, they're the unsung heroes in all this. You're watching me because of Pat, because of him and Michaela. Really, I mean, this IT stuff. I don't. I can plug in a toaster, but that's it. Oh, is that toast burning? That's the joke we use with Jimmy, right?
Yeah.
That's about it, guys. But so Oliver, I could talk to you all day. Become a personality. Become the guy in the neighborhood that helps out. Maybe volunteer. Put your business forward as a volunteer business. Things like that. I'm telling you, hit it and hit it hard. Today we have so many opportunities, I think, through social media to do these things. Now, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, it was the old-fashioned way. You'd have to join every civic group your community has to offer. And I'm not saying that they're still there today, some of them, and I'm not saying they're bad, but it's a very small group of people that you'll meet. But maybe I shouldn't discount it. Like, definitely take advantage of the Chamber of Commerce. Civic organizations like that. And food pantries are good. I love food pantries. There's a food pantry near me. We have a couple of we have a baker and a caterer, and they both donate. They do it anonymously though, but I see it. I see the truck pull up. I see them donating their leftovers, things like that. Be part of the community. Be really in there, and people will remember you, and they'll tell people. I have a story, an unfortunate story, of a couple who opened up an upholstery shop, and they didn't do any of this. They were a little older. They didn't know, and I was shocked that they opened up a shop without any social media footprint whatsoever. No advertising. They didn't have the money. They only had the money to open the front door and to pay rent for 6 months, and they were gone. So don't fall into that trap. I think Blair did it the best, Patrick. Blair did it. He took my advice. He started small. He built momentum before he opened up the brick and mortar. Okay. Hey, Patrick. Any comments or questions, Patrick?
Yeah, it says Malcolm says it seems like most new furniture is not designed to be recovered. It's used to be thrown out, just like fast fashion, fast food.
Yeah. Well, Malcolm, I talk about this. Manufacturers are experts at knowing how long to make something, either the fabric wear out or the seats start to sag or break in half. And it's 7 years. But what happened with the pandemic, they got caught with their hand in the cookie jar. Because, when you think about it, people buy sofa as a family, a busy family. The kids are playing soccer. They're out in the soccer field. Everybody's busy. They're jogging. They're doing this and that. And we're cooking and everything else. And then they go in the living room. They spend 5 minutes watching TV, and they're out cold, and they're going up to bed. The seating, really, during normal times, we don't sit. We're active in general. And so what happened with the pandemic is that everybody was home. So if they bought a living room set, a sofa, chair, whatever, one of these, less than perfect places, let's say that, they were going through 7 years of seating in 6 months. And things were falling apart left and right. I had people coming in, they were so disappointed, and trying to help them, like cushioning or seams popping, all kinds of crazy things. But it's the gimmick. Whereas upholsterers, we really do. Every fabric that I sell has over, how many double rubs do you think? I would say the average double rub, maybe 50,000, Michaela.
Yeah.
We have average 50,000. They're all upholstery weight fabrics. We've got a couple of exceptions because we do slip covers with that. There's some, with the thickness of the fabric, but there's still got a good abrasion level rating. Now, when you go into these stores, they will not give you this information. I don't think they have that specs that we have on the back. And the double rub's your biggest criteria for buying fabric, I think. And I would say that they maybe have a 5,000 double rubs on most of the stuff, maybe even less than that, really. So Oliver, I'm going to end it now, Patrick, because I'm going on too much about that. But that was a good question by him, wasn't it? By Oliver.
Yes.
Okay, lopsided on the ply grip uses and application. My antique tub chair is carved. The back fabric stops at the carving all the way around, bottom included. Can I use this on all four sides? Absolutely. But the thing is, you got to make sure it's the ply grip, not the curvies. Don't be confused between the two. Curvies sounds like it would be easier to use, but it isn't. Curvies is very heavy compared to the ply grip. The ply grip is almost like aluminum. I don't think, maybe it is aluminum, maybe Malcolm knows. But it's a very thin metal, put it that way. And it's a two-prong, I believe, whereas the curvy is really hard. Curvy is probably used more for leather work and things like that. I don't like it. I haven't used it in years. Mine is the ply grip now. But you can use ply grip to go right up to carved wood, no problem. And it closes up pretty good. But the curvies wouldn't close up well at all. Curvy is a lot of times used with piping because it hides it tends to open up just slightly. And no matter how much you hammer it, if there's no welting, you can see it a little bit. So beware of that. And we show, and that in that video, Patrick, that was a good video. We show how to use that. Remember, we tape the edges and things like that. So if you want to learn how to close up furniture, we have a hand stitching that you can see, and we have the ply grip, the two ways to close up outsides. And then now Janine says on the angel chair, she said, I love this style of information, nice blend of less formal but still instructional. Well done, you two. Nice to see you back, Jimmy. We missed you. Yeah, we had fun. Jimmy and I had fun with the GoPro that day, and I still have the chair. He took a day off Saturday, went somewhere, and so we're going to be starting that, finishing that chair with Jimmy. So I'm saving it for him. I'm not doing it myself, although I'm tempted to. All right, now if there's no more questions or comments, we'll get to the Facebook, Patrick. We have a few submissions on the Facebook. By the way, there's some people waiting for the face to be joined. If you guys did you?
Them.
So you guys check it out on the Facebook. If you guys are watching me for the first time, the Facebook page is really, I love it. It's been a pleasure for me because I very rarely have to answer on there. Jimmy or a lot of other students are answering the questions for me, which is great, and it's very successful, isn't it, Patrick?
Yeah, it's a lot of good stuff on that.
And at last count, I think we have hundreds.
Impressive. A lot of the projects are impressive.
Hundreds and very impressive projects, and Julie has one of them. She says she's all done. I've now found out it's a Greaves and Thomas. No maker's name, but the recessed back gives it away. Let me show you that. Oh, do you have that? You don't have that up, do you?
No.
Do you see that, Patrick? And Jean has been very prolific with some of the. She's got 13 pictures in here, Patrick.
Yeah, I know.
Wow.
Definitely go on there, guys.
Hey, I think it's great. Tell her to keep doing
I know.
it. It's just that type of content is fantastic. Oh, and this is all Jean. Jean, good for you.
Yeah, she posted a lot of good stuff.
So she says working on a wingback chair. I'll just show you that right up front. Wingbacks are really popular, aren't they, Patrick? That's why we did one with Jimmy, right?
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Everybody's been asking forever about that.
Yeah.
Which was stripped down to the bare wood, had to replace one of the shaped front arm pieces. The legs refinished, sanded, stained, and lacquered. Tied coil springs with Italian ruby twine with 8-way tie, new burlap, foam cotton. Used metal tack strips with plastic covers for arm fronts and backs, curvies for outside wings and upper back. Used 3 stripes of black jute webbing to support back, then burlap over that and a layer of cotton, well coating around. Was glad to get the dust cover on it. Now only have the seat cushion pieces to cut and sew. They were well coating onto the marked old cover for placement marks to line up to the pattern. Client wanted a step-by-step pictures of the work done. Wow. Client was an art teacher. Wow. I looked over and got a picture of the layer of cotton over the new foam and the dust cover picture. Oh well, you can see the cotton coming through the back of the chair, and you just have to tip over the chair and see the dust cover on the seat cushion cover. She's a good writer too, isn't she? Look at this, you guys. Are you kidding me? She learned from us, Patrick. Jean got all her
Incredible.
information from us. Really? Wow. See, this is what we're proud of. Proud of that. I mean, that is a professional looking job. Really good. So then she says on this one, client requested armrest covers and back headrest cover for the wing chair. Client stopped by earlier this afternoon. Chair was finished, only had the armrest and backrest covers and hand sewing around the legs. Finished that at 1:30. I'm tired. Is Jean on there now, Patrick, by any chance?
I don't think so. Deborah's here. Hi, Deborah.
Hi, Deborah. Want to thank Jean for the posting. They tell you guys, please, if you could take the time to post the work, especially work in progress like Jean. Jean's been doing really a good job. I'd appreciate it. It's great to help other people on there. Oh, and this was posted at 12:11 a.m. Patrick. So she was working hard on that. And then I might have skipped a page, but this was the first page. Oh no, I read that. Okay, hold on a second. Now she's got another project. Okay, you guys. This is her other project. I'll read it. That's a nice chair. I like that chair. She says, just got an antique gooseneck chair. Had coil springs. Usually I see gooseneck rockers. I don't see gooseneck chairs. This is a chair with a gooseneck. That's pretty cool. 2 layers of old jute webbing, burlap, horsehair, cotton, all done with tacks. Found horsehair in the outside arms and inside back. Kind of excited about this one, but client would not let me have it. Client is a repeat client and has her own fabric. She wouldn't let you have it. Client wouldn't not let me have it. Client wouldn't let her have it, Patrick. I don't know what that means. That's good. Thanks, Jean. That's great. And I think, Patrick, do you have any updates on the wing chair class?
Yep. So I'm waiting for it to load now. I gotta post it on YouTube.
And when do you think it's going to happen today?
So I'll try to get this one up today, at the very least. If not, definitely tomorrow.
That's
Class
big
one
news.
will be up. Just gotta see how long it takes to upload to YouTube.
That's big news.
Yep. I have all the things ready on the site. The placeholders are there.
Wow, big news. So, is there any other questions or comments before we get to the submissions?
Nope.
Michaela, are you all set for that?
Yep.
Very popular part of what we do here. And keep in mind, if you're watching this 10 years from now, add on it either add for inflation or deflation. Hopefully it's
Hopefully, yeah, I was
deflation.
gonna say.
And also add or subtract for your demographics. I find the closer you are to a city, the more expensive everything is, including upholstery, because expenses are more. If you're, I will tell you a little secret. Maybe I shouldn't tell you this. For customers, for consumers, I'm not sure if consumers have figured this out, but any metropolitan area, let's say in Boston, you have Boston proper, and then you have metropolitan Boston, which has 2.2 million people, by the way. So metropolitan Boston goes out from Boston proper, probably in all directions. You got the ocean in one direction, so you're going west. You're probably talking about 10, 20 miles. It's a circumference around the Boston area, or within what the old 128 used to be. So that's what we call metropolitan, and so it includes outside of that a little bit too. And then you have central Massachusetts, and then you have western Massachusetts. So the further from Boston that you go out, and it's true with a lot of businesses, especially the trades, the lower the pricing. So if you are living in Boston and you load up your van, you contact somebody in 50 miles or 100 miles away, and you're willing to do it, or they're willing to come to you, you can get a little bit better deal. You can see that, honestly. So I'm about in the middle before we do this. I'm about middle of the road. There are people who are getting more than I am, and there are people who are getting less who don't have the expenses that I have. But everybody knows that if you're going to a brick and mortar anything, you're going to be paying a little bit more because they have more expenses. That's simple as that. So let's get going, Michaela. What do you have?
The first one.
Those are interesting. Those chairs and the ottomans, the white ones. Look at that, you guys.
Oh, jeez.
What?
I would like to recover 2 chairs and 2 ottomans. I would like to use genuine sheepskin. I will supply it. Is this something you can do? Pictures and dimensions are attached. The chairs are brand new, so no repairs needed.
Genuine sheepskin. You know how thick that is, Michaela?
Very.
And this, we honestly have to pass on that. We're going to pass on that. There's so many problems with that. And one of the biggest problems I see is giving out the how many square feet she's going to need. And also the quality of what she's getting. I mean, you're not going to write all this. Just say, I maybe just, I just see trouble with this one. Sometimes the jobs that you don't get are the best jobs, really. And this could tie me up. So in other words, when I'm making from a labor standpoint too, and you're going to have to do a lot of hand stitching on this, and it is really hard to hand stitch, and things like that are not thought of, like on the inside back on that, the curve, and it just may not be possible to get it to look like this. And she may want buttons. You can't put buttons. You can't do buttons unless you use a contrasting fabric to do the buttons, and she probably doesn't want to do that. So in other words, what I see is, I don't know this person. She's a nice person, but what I see is there's no labor price that's going to cover this, Michaela.
Mm-hmm.
So you could tell her nicely that we can't do it, or we not can't do it, but whatever you want to write. Michaela's good at softening the. So what's the next one?
The next one is from June 3rd.
That Freema?
Oh, okay, well, so the person who sent us the request for the sheepskin will never get an answer because they did not include their email.
That's weird. So you wonder if that was a legitimate request.
Malcolm says sheepskin is very weak. Don't use it for seating.
Yeah.
Deborah says, I did one. It was super hard to work with.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Just confirmed. You confirm with me. That's great.
So it's the one labeled question from June 3rd.
Question. Yep. Okay.
Are you able to add support to the seat of 4 chairs as seen in the enclosed pictures? Upholstery is fine, but I would like more support in the seat. It may be a matter of replacing and adding some seat springs, or perhaps replacing the foam with an extra firm foam.
We're going to pass on this one too, and I'll show you why, Malcolm. You probably know why. Deborah, look at the framework. First of all, it's got a rubber webbing on it, probably, and any type of work that I'm going to have to do would be substantial webbing work on this. And you can't do springs. You can't attach springs on this, any type of spring. I mean, the stock, we were just talking about that. Malcolm was just talking about, that's a manufactured, a mass-produced piece, you could tell, and it would just be trouble. And, I mean, just the simple fact that the stock, meaning the thickness of the wood frame, is not going to work. You would have to web through that, and the webbing, I noticed stapling onto this doesn't work that well. I mean, there's nothing I can do on this. And it's, again, it's to avoid problems. I mean, I like to help people, but I want to help myself too. I feel as though if I take a job like that I could get into more trouble than it's worth. But we could be polite. We always need to be polite with our answers, right, Mikhail? She's good at that. Because we don't want a bad review either.
Malcolm says microfiber synthetic would be a substitute for the look/feel of sheepskin.
There you go.
Yeah, we have synthetic shearling, a whole book of it.
Yeah, talk a little bit about that, Mikhail, because I forgot about that. How much is that? Is that by the yard, first of all, right?
Yes.
Do you know how much it is?
By the yard, and it's very expensive.
It is. It's very plush, though. It's very sheepskin-like, right?
Yeah.
See, that customer, that inquiry, I think they didn't even give you the email address back.
No, they didn't. They did not include an email address.
So there's not even any,
So the only other one, there's somebody wanting advice from May 30th. Mary.
Mary,
Yeah.
May 30th?
Yeah.
Okay. I still don't see it. Oh, okay. You got it highlighted. I can't miss it. Do you want to read that?
I just bought some new MCM chairs for my dining room table. I am loving them, but need advice on recovering the seat cushions with consideration to the scale of the seats and the height of the table, which you discussed so well on one of your YouTube videos. Currently, the seat height is 17 inches with a distance of a foot to the tabletop. I need to add at least 1 inch to the seat height to make these chairs work. Is it possible? Can I add 1 inch foam to the seat before recovering with new fabric? Will the chairs look right, or will the scale be off, changing the sleek 60 seats to thicker seats? I should add that the seats are saddle type and not straight across. If you think I can get by with adding foam, do you sell 1 inch foam by the roll? Thank you.
I was just about to answer her until she said saddle seat. So on saddle seats are tricky. The more filling you add on a saddle seat, the more likely it is that it's going to wrinkle. So saddle seats are meant to profile low. This is really important. The only time it doesn't matter how thick the framework on a saddle seat, on a side chair in a saddle seat, the framework on the front is, let's say, 4 inches, like that. But the padding is probably what we see here is an inch and a half. So it has an overall look of 5 inches or 4.5 inches, but there's only that small amount of padding in it, and all the webbing's up at the top of the frame. Do you guys follow me? But anytime you have a saddle seat, or what that means is a curve, a crescent moon shape, it's only going to be stretched one way. Is that it, Michaela?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, front to back. You can't do a side-to-side stretch. As a matter of fact, if you stretch too much side-to-side, you're going to have wrinkling. So aesthetics is important. Scale is important. But I think she can add, I wouldn't add the 1 inch to what she has there. I think maybe she should half of an inch. I think she has to be careful what she adds to that seat, because she's coming up with padding. She's got first of all, she's just got a frame, a typical slip seat frame, and it doesn't have that border on the front. If she wants to put a lot of effort into this, which I don't know if I would advise this, I'm not even going to say it, it would be too much. 17 inches though, I think is about standard. If she could go like another layer of cotton, let's say, I wouldn't do anything more than that. No. Now the problem could be on these too is that they might be needing new webbing. So make sure you check that out first. Don't always go to the obvious. The obvious might be to pad out, but maybe there's a problem with the filling itself, and same profile would be well. But just be careful to don't add too much to a saddle seat. I guess that's the final thing. So, Patrick, any other updates that you could think of besides the online class, or any comments there, questions, more questions?
Updates. I can't really think of anything for the updates. But Malcolm says sheepskins are small and would have to glue sew multiple together to cover a chair unless it was a slip seat.
Yeah, I don't think it was a serious.
Doesn't sound fun. I mean,
No.
more and more I hear about this.
I remember one shop I worked at, Malcolm. We did, believe it or not, we were working for. We used to get these little stools, little ottomans, and people would bring a fur coat in, would upholster it in fur. Oh, what a mess! Because you'd have to cut it. You'd have to cut the fur somewhere, and once you cut fur, you know what happens when you cut fur, Michaela? It just goes all over the place. It's worse than down or K-Pock. Fur is worse. But I have to say, these little stools, they look cool with the fur on it. And I know some people don't like fur. This was real fur, Michaela. I guess I didn't particularly like doing them. But I have to say, they did look cool. So that's about it. So I think we're all set. I thought, one more thing. I'm going to try to finish the chair with Jimmy, the angel chair with Jimmy, next week, or this coming Saturday. And how quickly could you have that up, Patrick, if Jimmy and I finish that?
No, the other one I had up right away.
Okay.
After you guys filmed it.
All right, so we'll try to get that up if we finish it. We may not. Well, even if we don't finish it, maybe there'll be just 3 parts to it, whatever.
Yeah.
But we're having fun with that. If you guys haven't checked it out, Jimmy's in the back unscrewing the angel from the chair, and I said something like, what did I say? Don't unscrew it. Don't unscrew the angel. And then that wasn't planned. That just happened, right, Patrick?
Yeah, bad luck.
And I went to grab the angel and I missed. And it fell. It was a fallen angel at that point, I guess.
I've actually got somebody here now before we go to.
What's that?
Jennifer King. So, hi from your Route 2 neighbor in Lancaster, Mass.
Oh, hi, Jennifer.
I need help. My dog just tore my brand new couch. Need advice on how to repair.
Where was it torn?
Yeah, and I think with the cat video, I have a lot of the same tips for that. Maybe you should check that out.
Oh, yeah. We've done quick tips.
Yeah.
Check
out how to repair pet damage furniture. It's a good video.
Remember, there was one chair we were doing that, and there was a little damage on the front of the chair. It was just, and I was showing how to, daintily take glue and try to repair it and make it look good. And then we turned the chair, the cat had completely annihilated. Remember that, Patrick?
Yeah. Center of the seat cushion, she says.
Oh, center of the seat cushion. That's a problem. That's a problem. Hopefully she has extra fabric and she can replace that. But there's no effective way that I know of repairing anything that's inside an interior that's not at a seam. The only people that could do that, there used to be a textile museum in Lowell. They're not there anymore. They had textile experts who used to use microscopes and really, surgical equipment to repair antiques for museums. And it sounds expensive, and it was. They didn't do too many of these type of jobs, let me tell you that. I'm not going to say that it's impossible. I wouldn't do it. But you may be able to find some type of quick fix yourself. If you do, let us know. Anything else, Patrick?
No, that's it.
I think that's it. It was an interesting show, I think, Patrick. I think what makes it interesting is people, sending in. Please don't stop sending in your replies. Reply, even if you're a longtime fan of the YouTube channel. Keep replying to those. We use those as content for these shows. And today was a pretty good show. I think it was exactly an hour long, Patrick. So.
Yep.
All right. Well,
I gotta say for sure now we'll be on again next Monday.
Okay, good.
I'm going to Florida the end of next week, so we can't do Wednesday. So we'll be on Monday.
All right.
I'm gonna send them in, and thanks for putting up with the sporadic schedule. It's either Monday or Wednesday. I know Malcolm's asking about when we're going live. It's either Mondays or Wednesdays.
All right. You'll let people know. Thank you.
We're all over the place in the summer here with the scheduling. Crazy time of year.
We appreciate everybody dropping in, and we appreciate the people who watch this later.
Yep.
and we appreciate the content that people provide to us, that we can offer some decent content ourselves. So with that, we'll see you later.
Thanks, everyone.
You staying here, Pat?
Yeah, I'm gonna finish. It's almost done. So.